Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell. And today we're going to answer a letter from somebody whose romantic feelings for her ex have been rekindled. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
We are not. We definitely aren't. We aren't even close. We are not professionals. We are not trained in this. So please take our advice as you see fit. We are only here to offer our humble musings to hopefully shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding, but mostly confusing experience that is love. Guess what, Sam?
What?
We're recording this early, but the day that this episode airs,
that's right. It's our birthday.
So happy
birthday to you and to me at the same time.
Yes. I just love the fact that we share a birthday. I don't know why that is like, it's the little girl in me that's like, oh my God, my best friend and I have the same birthday.
It's very cute. It's very cute. Yeah. Technically, I feel like it's your birthday, and I just kind of like tagged along onto it because you were born first.
Because I'm old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also like, I think like yes, Pat Sajak
I think
was
about
also
it that
like
way as well.
I knew it. I'm trying to remember who shares a birthday with us, and I think it's like Pat Sajak, maybe.
I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up.
All the serial killers are Geminis. That's all I know.
That is really true.
I was thinking that in a couple years, when Spencer and I turn 40, we should do like a joint 40-year-old birthday party.
Yes.
And then I was like, and then Sam will just be like off to the side. Because it's like,
perfect.
It's your birthday, but you'll be what, 37 or something?
I'll be 38. We're only 2 years apart, even though we make a lot of jokes about it.
Yeah.
Okay, who shares our birthday? These are a lot of people I don't know. Wentworth Miller.
Sounds like a white person.
Yep, it is. Aquafina. Share a birthday with Aquafina.
Okay.
Justin Long. Share. This is a lot of like
who these
Instagram and YouTube people. Oh, Andy Cohen.
Oh, there you go. Bravo.
Dominic Cooper. Yeah, it's not as exciting as I thought. Oh, Zachary Quinto.
All right, let's get into today's letter.
All right, our letter today comes from X's and O No's, whose pronouns are she, her, and who's writing from the corner of Moving On and Old Flames. Hello, I've debated writing this for a while, but it seems to be an issue that's on my mind so constantly that I finally thought it's time to just ask and talk about my current situation. Long story short, I have an ex that's been a longtime friend and things were great like that for years, but now feelings have been back recently and he's with someone, and I don't want to make things messy between us. I would also like to make myself more emotionally available for other potential dates in the future too. Okay, but now the details. So I've been single for a few years now, and I really want to get back into dating. I actually did go on one date that didn't really go anywhere, but I'm finding myself going into it half-hearted. You see, I'm only friends with one of my exes, him, let's call him Dylan, and we dated years ago when I was much younger and much more immature. I broke up with him when I was around 23 or 24. I'm now 31. And we took a year off of talking and then decided to become friends. No friends with benefits, no jealousy or drama, just pure friends, and we kept up that promise beautifully for the last 2 years. We've been friends longer than we were actually together, and I feel like I truly have more appreciation for him, and I've seen how we've both grown. At first, staying friends was easy, but the past few months I found it harder and harder with each passing week. I first noticed it a little over a year ago when he told me he was dating someone, and I kind of felt that pang of sadness. We had both dated people after each other, and it never really seemed to be an issue, rather something we just accepted but barely talked about afterwards. But it never felt sad, or at least from my angle, I can't speak for him. So this feeling of sadness was new to me last year. It wasn't jealousy, or at least I don't think so. I don't dislike her or want to really know anything about her. I'm happy he's in a relationship and they've been living together for a few months now, and I genuinely want them to succeed if that's what he wants. I want to leave my romantic feelings for him behind and go my own way because I don't want to screw up anything they have. But it's hard. We have a weekend gaming group together, and it's a really big source of joy for me, and I love having him in my life, but it's hard to separate my rekindled romantic feelings for him when I have almost a daily reminder of how great he is. We talk every day, and it's always very chill, and about our jokes or hobbies, there hasn't been any flirting. So I guess this is a really long-winded way of me saying, how do I separate and move on from these feelings so I don't hurt him and his partner? But I also don't want to hurt or feel like I'm suddenly out of his life after years of wonderful friendship. It's truly been such a unique and important relationship to me, and I just don't want myself to get in the way. I'd never cross physical boundaries or cheat, and I don't think he would either, but I don't even want to feel like that's what I'm angling for. I genuinely want his happiness, but I really, really want some for me too. In a perfect world, we could even continue being good friends like we have for the past few years, but if I can't squash these feelings, I don't know if that's good for anybody. Even dating other people, I find myself not as into, and I really want to give others or being more open to people a better chance. Any words of advice would be much appreciated. Love the podcast and all of the thought you put into it, and thank you for reading.
Oh, my darling, thank you so much for writing, for trusting us with this letter, and for listening. Yeah, this is so hard. This is such a tricky, tough spot to be in. But I also want to say, like, wow, what a mature, thoughtful, and kind place to be in. I just want to take a moment to say, like, this is really hard and painful. And also, you're in the right place. You're caring for your friend. You're respecting his relationship. And you're caring for yourself. You're saying, how can I move forward in a way that is in alignment with my values, in alignment with my own growth and space from this person, and respects the specialness of this friendship and the integrity of his relationship. Like, I just want to give you like a high five and a standing ovation and say, like, this is a hard place to be in, but it's the right place to be in. I'm really proud of you for being here. But like I said, this is also a really tough place to be in. And I know that your feelings are like, oh, geez, thanks, Sierra. Like a round of applause doesn't make the pain go away. Yeah. So we're going to give you some advice about how to maybe, welcome in these feelings, tend to them, and what we think might help with this friendship. But first, we're going to take a very quick break.
All right, everyone. Welcome back. X's and O no's. Thank you so much for writing. So let's talk about what it feels like to have these sort of unrequited romantic feelings for somebody. And do
you feel these feelings?
Unrequited love? Yes.
No. I meant like, do you have people that you were like, oh, I wish I could be with them now? Or I think the letter writer did such a good job of articulating how this went from an ex to like you grew in your friendship and now you just like really like who they are and you find yourself being drawn to that person, maybe even more so than when you were younger, you know?
For sure. Yeah, I don't know that I have
do you feel those feelings?
I don't know that I have like
you are good at compartmentalizing in a healthy way people from your past. And I'm over here like compartment, put them all like, in a soup together.
Oh my God, I think I still love him and I don't know why. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is literally me. Why? Why do I still?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's probably like a lot of reasons why this might be happening. Like one is that, obviously you two have really grown close in a friendship. And you've been able to see like aspects of him that you really like and enjoy. And I think that sometimes like feelings of friendship and feelings of romance can get their wires crossed a little bit, true. Right? Where it's kind of like, wait, do I like this person as a friend or do I like want to be with them?
Yeah.
And I've definitely had instances of that where I'm like, wait, is this person my friend or is this person somebody that I should be spending romantic time with?
That's so true.
I think also probably like part of this is that like now he's dating someone. And so it's like a little bit like, oh, he's like, he was kind of on a shelf and was like available maybe if I needed to like pull him down. And now he's like not on that shelf anymore. Now he's with somebody else. And that makes me a little bit like, I don't know, sad that it's no longer available, maybe a little possessive of saying like, wait, no, that was supposed to be my option if it needed to be. Or maybe a realization of the fact that like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have put him on the shelf for that long. Maybe I should have brought him down and, you know, dated him. I don't know. Like I'm thinking like I was going to be like and ate him, but like I don't think that's what I want to. Yeah,
played with him.
Played with him. Sure, there we go. Right, or was like cuddled with him in bed.
Yeah. I like deeply relate to the sadness that the letter writer talked about of like not necessarily like an outright passion or even a desire to be with them, but just like this feels a little prickly. You know, this is emotionally confusing, especially because like I feel like culturally we're not really taught how to have friend intimacy, you know, not to mention the monogamy culture that's like shoved down our throat. We're not taught how to love our friends deeply, even with passion at times, and to have that be enough. Like, so I think that it's okay that you're feeling this way. I actually think it's like totally okay that you are feeling this great respect and like questionable longing. I wonder what it would feel like if you gave yourself permission to feel like nostalgic and maybe like a little regretful that you didn't miss out, but that like your paths didn't align in this way. And also that you know that you wouldn't do anything to jeopardize this. Like, I guess you and I always talk about that, like you're 50 times more likely to feel a feeling if you tell yourself you can't feel it, you know? What if you just said like, yeah, I would totally date him if we were like in a different place, if our life paths were doing different things, right? I would totally date him, but they're not. And so I won't. But yeah, I have all of these conflicting feelings all at once. Like, what would it be like if you were just like, yeah, sadness, it's okay to come in. It's okay to feel a little nostalgic. I don't have to act on it and I don't have to suppress it. And I know I wouldn't do anything to jeopardize these friendships, you know? I know that's not like a foolproof response, especially if you're really pining, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I love this idea that you're trying to like squash this feeling. And it's like,
yeah,
it's like one of those like toys where if you like squish it, like the bubble comes out like even bigger on the side. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, yeah, the squashing is probably not actually gonna help through the pain of like seeing this person who you really like, being with somebody else and knowing that you can't sort of pursue a romantic relationship with him. So I think part of it is kind of accepting that this is what's happening, right? Like, yep, I'm feeling this type of way about one of my closest friends, and also sort of looking at it in a way of like, my feeling isn't necessarily telling me something important that I need to know besides the fact that I really just like this person, you know, right? Like,
I think that's the perfect way to say it, is that like, when I was in similar situations like this, I would just tell myself like, that person is off limits. I can feel these feelings, but I'm not going to act on them. It's the duplicity. It's the yes and also, right? I want to act on my feelings, and also I'm not going to. And I know they're going to come up when I come to game night, right? I know they're going to come up, and he's going to say something charming and funny, and then he's going to hold his partner's hand, and I'm going to feel those prickly feelings, and I'm allowed to, and I still don't have to do anything about those feelings.
For sure.
Other than go home and like comfort myself, you know, nurture myself.
Yep, absolutely. But you know, the feelings that you're feeling around him aren't telling you that you are going to be alone forever, or that you can't be around him, or that you've messed up your life in some way because you didn't get to him first, right? Like, that is kind of the narrative that comes from the feelings. But all your feelings are just trying to tell you is that like, this is a cool guy that I like want to spend time with, that I want to kiss on the face, right? And like, that's a hard enough emotion to handle.
My mouth wants his mouth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. That's a hard enough emotion to just handle on its own. But by quashing it or by believing that it's like telling a bigger story, then we just like add all of these layers to this emotion that make it even more hard for us to handle. So can we get back to the core thing of like, what is it like to like your friend who's in a relationship with someone? It's hard. It sucks. It is a challenging thing to go through, and we don't have to pretend like it's not. We don't have to pretend like it's going to be easy to figure out how to navigate this space, or that you shouldn't be feeling it, because you should be feeling it. Sounds like he's a really cool guy who's been in your life for a long time, who has a very kissable mouth, right? Like that is something that is true. So part of, I think, getting through emotions is by sort of stripping them of all of the like the kindling that we keep throwing on the fire about like, this is bigger than it is. Like this means this means this. And then suddenly the fire is like out of control. Whereas it's like, no, if it can sit in the fireplace of our heart, cool. It can be maintained there, right? Like it can be, it's not going to start the whole house on fire. It's just going to be there. It's going to be something. And then we can sort of let it do what it needs to do in order to burn out.
Yeah. And I always think about how you say like all relationships have opportunity costs, right? Mm-hmm. Friendships do too. Maintaining a friendship has opportunity costs, right?
Yep.
You're not going to put him in a position that would jeopardize his relationship and your friendship because you've decided you don't want to do that. You know,
sure.
I'm a sucker for like love stories, but I'm not,
absolutely.
I'm not going to tell you should shoot your shot on this because it sounds like you really genuinely don't want to, you're like, I'm having these feelings that I don't want to have, and this all being said, like, I also think that it is absolutely okay if you're not able to be fully his friend right now because these feelings are too ripe. They're too potent. They're too loud. The fire's too big, right? Because these types of feelings really thrive when given space to heal, to process through, to not be activated again, and activation happens when we're around people. We know that. So it's totally okay if you need to take some time away from this person, maybe like pull back from the texting, maybe go to every other game night or something like that, or just go to the game night and still yourself and tell yourself like, I know this is going to activate some of my feelings, but then I'm going to go home. I'm going to eat my favorite meal. I'm going to text this friend and I know that I can get through this. I know that these feelings are not the end and the beginning of me. We are not our experiences. We are not our feelings. They're just something that's like passing through us, right? And it's okay. I would say if you want to take space, though, you have every right to take a little bit of space. He doesn't have to know. He doesn't even have to know. It can be as much space. It can be as much or as little space as you want. But it could be done really subtly, I think, if you don't want it to affect your friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, it sounds like you wish that there was just some sort of way that you could just switch off these emotions and, you could live in this ideal world where you two could just be friends and this like painful, annoying affection that you have for him wouldn't be a part of it. And I wish that were true in the same way that I wish that it like never rained on anyone's birthday, or in the same way that I wish that, people didn't have bad things happen to them or whatever it is. But we live in a world that is imperfect. We live in a world where this type of stuff does come up. And so part of it is also about accepting the uncontrollableness of the universe, the uncontrollableness of the ways in which our hearts reach out to other people's hearts, and sort of accepting, instead of railing against the situation, accept the situation from what it is and decide how you want to move forward with it, right? Like this feeling that you're having isn't going to go away anytime soon. And I can't give you any advice to say how you can make it go away, right? That is impossible, in the same way that I can't give you advice to how to make sure that a thunderstorm won't ruin your birthday party. But what I can say is that like the way that we can find healing, the way that we can move towards something that's going to work better for us, is by accepting the fact that this is what's happening, right? Accepting the fact that like, okay, the thunder is going and the lightning is happening, so we need to make a different plan for what my birthday is going to look like. In the same way of now you've got these feelings coming up for you, and there's lots of reasons why this is really painful, and you've got to decide what you want to do given the fact that that is the reality that you're in. So game night's gonna look different, right? Texting each other is gonna look different. And that's sad. I'm with you in the mourning and the grief of that. Like I am 100% there with you saying like, I wish it were different too. And it is so hard to lose a connection with somebody, so hard to have a friendship change in a way that doesn't feel like it's working for you. Like that is really challenging. But I can't tell you how to make it not happen. I can only sit with you in the reality that it is happening, and that means you're going to have to make different choices about what you're going to do in the face of that reality.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm reminded when we talk about breakups, like, oh, I don't want to, not be their friend, or I don't want to set up hard boundaries between them because I want to be nice. You don't want to change this friendship because you value it, because it benefits you, and also because you don't want to make your friend feel bad. You want to be nice. But the kind thing to do is to make the decisions to establish the boundaries that support each of your own growths, peace, healing, right? And if that means you have to do the kind thing, which is to pull away from this friendship, because if you didn't, these feelings would fester, the friendship would be affected, yada, yada. That can, even though it feels like the unkind thing to do, to pull away, it could be the kind choice, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And kindness is hard sometimes, right? Kindness doesn't always just look like, cool, I get to give my friend a present, right? Like sometimes it looks like I actually have to create distance between me and this person so that I don't ruin their relationship or ruin our relationship. And that is not an easy thing to accept. We're here with you. We recognize how difficult this is. And I think both of us hope that you can find a way to create enough distance where this pain isn't quite as sharp, but find a way to allow your heart to remain connected to this person's, even if it doesn't feel the way that it has felt over the course of the last few years.
Right. Absolutely. We know this is hard. We're with you here, and we love you. Thanks for writing.
Thank you so much. We hope this helps. All right, everyone. It is Friday, which means that today is our blind date. Our blind date is when we try and set you up with something that we think you really are going to like. Today, we want to send you home with...
All right, it's an app, but first it's actually my show next week in Albany on the 6th. If you're in Albany, New York, or in the area and want to come and drive and see me, come to my show on the 6th.
I love it.
Details in the show notes. But my actual blind date is an app that I've been using. It's called 10K Runner. It's an app that I've been using that I wanted to recommend for a very specific reason. When I am like a on again, off again runner, I will train and run for, run a half marathon, and then I won't run for 6 months to several years. I fall off the wagon and then I crawl back on.
For sure.
And I've been trying to analyze like what is it about me that feels like I have to be like an extreme runner or not at all. Like I'm very bad in the gray area because I feel like I need to be really good at running, or I have to feel good when I do it, or I have to have like a beautiful path and enjoy it all. So I often get caught up in the details and the feeling of it. Like I'll feel very discouraged if it doesn't feel good, or if I am winded or whatever. And all of this mental labor takes way more effort than the actual run than I end up going on.
That's real.
Planning the course, stressing about it, feeling like I'm not good enough. That's the work for me. So I recently talked to a friend who likes running even less than me, but did like a couch to 5K training plan where you do a combination of walking and running. And she said she really loved it because then she said the pressure was off. She didn't have to think about how fast she was running or how far she was going. She just had to do these simple increments of like walking for a minute, running for a minute. And it was all set out for her. So I ended up doing it and downloading this and have been running a couple days a week since then. And for me, the reason why I'm bringing it to the podcast is that it's way more mentally healthy for me to just follow this very simple training plan, which is like literally like run for a minute, walk for a minute, 8 times or something like that. It's not very far. And then it builds in increments so that eventually after the however many weeks that you are going to do it for, you can run a 5K or a 10K. And for me, it was just like such low pressure, not having to think about it, just having to follow this thing. Didn't even have to think about where I was going because I wasn't paying attention to mileage, which was also, again, I always felt like I needed to be good at running and I had to enjoy it and I had to feel good at it when like you never feel good at running. So this has been really good for my mental health about just like getting out there and moving my body. And there are 2 different apps. One's like a 5K, and the other one, it's yellow on my thing. It says 10K runner. I think it's the subtitle is like couch to 5K, meaning you can start as somebody who never runs. And the 5K one has like you have to pay, and it looks like the 10K one you don't have to. So just
great.
Even if you're interested at all, just do the 10K one because they have not asked me to upgrade at all and have given me access to everything. So I don't know.
Great.
Anyway, if you're interested in moving your body in that way, this has been good for my mental health. It's called 10K Runner. It's an app.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you are interested in more content from us, you can always support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you'll get an additional bonus weekly episode, as well as access to all of our primary episodes without ads. That's patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can slide into our DM, send us your favorite relationship memes, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters to the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise.
Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need 2 random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of Duvid Media, original music, recording, editing, producing all magical things by our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his podcast and his music. And remember, it's okay if you feel contradicting emotions, contradicting desires. It's okay if you love a friendship and want more from it. You can still choose choices that are in alignment with your values, in alignment for your vision for your life, and in alignment of your friendships and the health of them. All of these things can happen at once. And if all else fails,
just break up.